As a coach, I tend to avoid focusing my services and my online content around weight loss. I feel that there are so many benefits to training in the gym that extend far beyond how you look that I think reducing my message and my kind of service offerings to just talking about weight loss and transformations to be kind of like missing the wood for the trees. Over 15 years as a trainer, I've helped so many people feel stronger and healthier and unlock certain physical abilities and movements that they couldn't do, and also improve their sporting performance and just day-to-day quality of life. That I think if I were to purely look at how many kilos someone had lost on a scale, it would be a real shame and I'd really be reducing down the quality of what we can do as trainers. I would also be doing a massive disservice to the benefits you can get from regular exercise and weightlifting. That being said, I've trained a lot of people and a lot of them do have weight loss and body composition goals, maybe not as their top priority, maybe, kind of as a secondary or tertiary goal. But I've met a lot of people that want to lose weight basically, and I see a lot of the same mistakes over and over again. So even though it's not my main focus as a coach, I wanted to make sure there was a resource here that if you're someone who's doing some strength training or trying to improve your athletic performance, but you're also managing some weight loss goals, then you can have some information here without having to go to the other extreme end of the kind of personal trainer spectrum and look up the advice from some kind of transformation specialist that is trying to get you super lean in 12 weeks. It's important to note that I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian, and I'm not going to make any specific dietary recommendations or any kind of meal plan style suggestions here. These are about the kind of big picture stuff, about your overall habits and the motivation and the psychology behind weight loss and weight loss habits. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes people make when trying to lose weight. Mistake number 1 is trying to lose weight through exercise alone. So it's widely accepted that to lose weight, we need to be in a calorie deficit. That means if I require this many calories in a day just to do my usual daily activities and to, eat and live and breathe and survive, then I need to consume somewhere below that in order to make a deficit, this gap between the 2 points, in order to lose weight over time, because that deficit means my body is going to have to use my fat stores in my body to continue to generate energy. To create that calorie deficit, we either need to consume fewer calories through our food and drink, or we need to expend more energy by burning more calories through exercise and activity. And most of the time, the people that I meet, because I meet people in the gym, I meet people that have opted to go down the route of trying to increase their activity levels to burn calories and create an energy deficit that way. The problem with this is that it's very easy to overestimate how many calories you burn during a workout. As a rough guide, a lot of the recommendations around weight loss will suggest that you aim to create a 500 calorie deficit per day in order to lose about a pound of fat a week. Now, those numbers might not be perfect, but that is the kind of rough recommendation that's given out quite a lot. If you look up a lot of different types of exercise on Google or, on MyFitnessPal and see how many calories they burn over, say, 45 minutes or an hour, it's often less than 500 calories. Not to mention that as you get better at a certain activity, you probably become more economical with it and possibly burn fewer calories as you do it. So that initial figure may come down over time unless you continuously learn to train harder or for longer. So if you pursue a calorie deficit through exercise alone and you pay no attention to your eating and drinking, then quite possibly you are going to not quite make that 500 calorie deficit that you're aiming for. Secondly, again, this advice is normally given as a daily recommendation to drop 500 calories a day. Again, it may be more or less, but the idea is this is a daily calorie deficit. So then this logic of only losing weight through exercise requires you to exercise every day. And that can be tricky, that can be draining on your motivation, your time, your energy. So that's one reason why that's not a very good strategy for you to take. And so when you see people advertising weight loss workouts and fat loss workouts, really all they're going to try and do is make you burn as many calories as possible. So not only are you trying to train every day, but often the workouts that you do are going to be very grueling, very hard, or they're going to be very repetitive. And once again, that could be a real knock to your motivation and your enjoyment and your energy levels. And if it is overly repetitive and really high intensity, it could also increase your risk of injury. I'm not advocating for huge deficits and really restrictive periods of eating where you hardly eat anything. But if you only focus on your exercise habits, you may be missing a piece of the puzzle. Mistake number 2 is failing to take a long-term view of your weight loss goals. Now, this affects our weight loss journey in so many different ways. This can be from being frustrated when you don't see weight loss within the first 2 weeks of trying to create your calorie deficit. It can be from looking at food and exercise in a very transactional way. So I did a 200 calorie workout today, which may not even be accurate. Therefore, I can have 200 calories of food and, still be on track, or those kind of things. Or on the other hand, thinking, I just had a piece of food that I wasn't meant to have, or I overconsumed, I had a larger portion of something. So that means all my weight loss goals are out the window and I've just ruined all of my progress. All of these kind of mindsets hinge on you taking a very short-term view of the problem, which is that you're haggling over 200 or 300 calories here, and you're, spiraling over 1 or 2 slips here and there. And obviously, if you were to constantly burn 200 or 300 calories, that would probably contribute quite significantly to your weight loss. And if you were to constantly slip up on your diet and overconsume certain foods, then that could be a big hindrance to your weight loss goals. So I'm not saying that these things don't matter, but if we look at only one incidence of either behavior that is on track with our goals or behavior that is off track with our goals, then chances are you're missing the bigger picture. We're looking at creating a deficit over weeks and months and seeing progress gradually over time. So don't look at one single incidence of a great workout or, an eating session that wasn't what it should have been. Don't look at those things as completely defining your journey. Look at your overall habits and try and build your results from there. Most of my clients that do successfully lose weight do so because although they may go up and down with their eating habits, over the long-term view, they are sticking to the goals that we set. And they are training regularly as well. They're not going stop-start through their training and eating habits. They will still fluctuate. They will still drink alcohol, eat fast food, all those kind of things. But they will get back on track the majority of the time. Mistake number 3 when it comes to weight loss is thinking that if you're someone that feels like they need to lose weight, maybe you're a bit overweight, that suddenly you are not worthy. You're not worthy of the same kind of patience and compassion. You're not worthy of the efforts it would take to lose weight. And especially if you grew up in the 90s like I did, or before that, if you're older than me, you probably grew up with a lot of media that was disparaging towards people who are bigger or carry more fat. Things where larger people were the butt of the joke in a lot of cases, or where they were portrayed as being lazy or having no willpower or being obsessed with food. And we have been shown studies where when that kind of stereotype is perpetuated and shown to someone, it can actually encourage them to indulge in more of those behaviors that are counterproductive to their weight loss journey. So the more you kind of reinforce those ideas to yourself that you are someone with poor willpower, who is lazy, who is greedy, the more you kind of perpetuate those things, the more you are shooting yourself in the foot and actually kind of harming your journey. And it goes without saying, hopefully, that you shouldn't feel that way about yourself anyway. Even if it wasn't counterproductive to your goals, you don't need to beat yourself up and hate on yourself just because you wish you were a little bit smaller. I've been working in the fitness industry for 15 years. I have met hundreds of trainers. I've met hundreds of athletes. I've met people who are, in really tip-top physical condition and, could go on the cover of a magazine and, have a six-pack and all this kind of stuff. And 9 times out of 10, they are not better human beings than people who are at the beginning of their fitness journey. It's just that we have moralized fitness so much that we think people who are in good shape are better people. And we make this correlation then that anyone that looks like they could be on the cover of a magazine or anyone who looks like they're very fit must have certain characteristics that isn't always true. If we look just at the trainers that I've met in my lifetime, I've met trainers who use performance-enhancing drugs, recreational drugs. I've met trainers who drink really frequently, drink alcohol very frequently. I've met trainers that can't sustain long-term relationships and friendships, who have anger issues, who have disordered eating habits, and some that are just generally not very nice people. Now, this isn't to hate on all personal trainers and criticize personal trainers. I am a personal trainer. I just say it because, again, there's that assumption that people who are fit and strong are like better people than everyone else, and they're not. And you are not lesser because you want to lose weight, because you're currently not happy with your body. I believe it's possible for you to want to work on your body and lose weight if that's your goal, whilst also believing that you are deserving of compassion and patience and love, and you don't need to use your weight loss journey to earn any of those things. Speaking honestly, a lot of the people I've met over the years, a huge percentage of the people that I've met either as my clients or just in gyms that I've worked in, the ones that obsess over weight loss as their goal for fitness are usually some of the ones that struggle most with motivation, because it's not a deeply intrinsic, high value goal. It's purely external. It's heavily focused around the opinion of others and your external appearance. And I've seen hundreds of people just drop off the bandwagon every 3 months because that's the only thing they train for. And if you're one of those people and you have really struggled with that in the past, then a good way to counteract that is to focus on the positive benefits of exercise for your health and for your well-being and your general quality of life. Focus more on those things. And again, because you deserve those things regardless of what your body looks like. So try to use those as your motivating factors. Everyone deserves, and everyone, I believe, should be training now to have a better quality of life when they're older, for their bone density, for their mobility and strength, and also for their movement literacy, for their ability to perform different movements and, run around after their kids and grandkids and all that kind of stuff. I believe all that stuff is so much more important than how you look. And that is why the majority of my content actually focuses around strength training and day-to-day quality of life improvements. So I'll say it one more time. If you're watching this video and you are watching it because you want to lose weight and you don't know where to turn, or you're really frustrated, try having some patience with yourself first. I know it's easier said than done. I know that you've had a lot of stuff drilled into your head all the time, but you do still deserve patience and compassion and love, and you should allow yourself to feel those things, and you can still exercise, you can still go and pursue a stronger, fitter body whilst feeling those things. Don't put your life on hold because you're not in the body size that you want to be. Mistake number 4 with weight loss is calorie counting. So I've been a big fan of calorie counting in the past, and I know a lot of coaches are, because we like to have data. We like to have numbers where we can go into your kind of daily planner or whatever and say, this is how many calories you should consume, and here's how you're going to do it. It also gives us some numbers to look back on and see where you might be going wrong and almost kind of audit the weight loss process. However, calorie counting is a hugely double-edged sword, and I don't really recommend it anymore to many of my clients, if not any of my clients. And that's for several reasons. Number 1, we spend so much of our time now looking at screens and using apps and collecting data on our sleep, our steps, everything. And it's so tedious to count your calories and kind of track every bit of food you're eating. And for some people, that's fine. For some people, it's not. And there are probably a bunch of people watching this video who are saying, well, tough luck. If you want to lose weight, I don't care if it's tedious. I want you to do these things anyway. And I get that. And I'm a big fan of using data in the right context. But there is research out there that shows that using calorie counting apps can increase your likelihood to become preoccupied with food, to be obsessed with the amount of food you're eating, and to develop an unhealthy relationship with food. And no body shape, no body size is worth screwing up your relationship with food. And I've had this kind of conversation with people before, and they've made comments along the lines of like, well, maybe if I had a more disordered relationship with food, then maybe I'd be a bit slimmer. Maybe if I would, stop eating and worry about what I ate a bit more, maybe I need to do that. But that's because the people that say that, they assume that disordered eating is going to mean you're going to lose weight still. And actually you think I need to do those behaviors because those behaviors will make me lose weight. But even if that was the case, and that's a massively flawed argument for a number of reasons, but even if that was the case, a lot of disordered eating habits actually revolve around binge eating food as well. So you thinking that if you become obsessive with food and, compulsive about tracking everything, that, it may not be the best textbook, healthiest way to do it, but, you're going to lose weight. That may not even be the case. Again, I disagree with that argument in the first place, but even if it was true, you may not end up losing weight. You may end up going for very restrictive periods, very high stress periods, and then just having this big old burnout and then eating everything and stopping tracking. So, it's not productive. It's not correct to feed into those disordered eating habits. And it's also not necessarily going to get you the end result that you say you want anyway. So I'm talking about making a calorie deficit, but here I am telling you that it's probably not worth tracking your calorie intake. So what do we do instead? Well, we understand the concept of a calorie deficit is still the driving force behind losing weight, but we try to achieve that through behavioral change rather than through looking at every number of everything you consume. So a typical way I might do this is if someone wants to lose weight and I know there's something that they currently do that increases the amount of calories they consume by quite a lot. Either there's a particular food that they really like, or they go out and drink alcohol every weekend and consume a lot of calories that way. And so we try to modify that behavior in a way that we know is going to put a dent in the amount of calories they consume during that period. So we go after the behavior rather than going after the number. So most of you probably right now, if you're watching this and you're trying to lose weight, you can probably identify some of the areas where you overconsume food, or you go out and you drink a lot, or something like that. And so what we would do is we would say, how can we change that behavior just slightly to the point where, if you normally drink, say, 4 alcoholic drinks, how do we get that to 2 drinks? And that's just an example, but it's just an example of how we take the kind of biggest contributors to your weight gain or your weight plateau, and we try to put a dent in that, put a little chunk out of that. And that might be one way that we go for the same result, trying to get a calorie deficit without actually tracking calories all the time. And mistake number 5, this is very similar to mistake number 2, but I wanted to give it its own section. And that mistake is people that are very active in their day-to-day life, either through exercise or through work, who don't understand why they're not losing weight. Now, the reason this happens is not really to do with any of the reasons that normally get blamed. It's not down to the fact that your metabolism is slowing down or anything like that, because we know that only happens very slowly throughout your life. What it's actually to do with is just the fact that somewhere along the way with your busy lifestyle and your busy active job, you have established a baseline where somehow you consume enough calories to balance out the energy that you burn through the activity that you do. So I'm talking about people like gardeners, hospital workers, manual laborers, postie workers, all these kind of people that are walking around all day, picking things up all day. They're on their feet for 8 hours, 10 hours, however long they're working for. And they want to know why they're not losing weight and why they're gaining weight. And then you look into the lifestyle a little bit more, and it turns out that because they work so hard and they are doing a great job with their work, they will eat larger portions, or they will treat themselves with kind of higher calorie foods, or they'll go out at the weekend and drink to blow off steam from how hard they've been working all week. So once again, it's that kind of long-term thinking. You're focused on what you do for 8 hours of the day where you're working really hard. You're not focused on everything that's going on around it, whether that's what you're eating during work or after work or what you do at the weekend. Somewhere in there, you have started to consume more calories than you burn, or consume enough calories that you are in kind of a stalemate where you're not gaining weight or losing weight. And there's another side of this that I would like to bring up, and I've worked with lots of people who have these, really busy jobs and really active lifestyles, who are stuck with this kind of idea. And one of the things that I think kind of creeps in there that people don't really think about, people aren't really aware of, is how much you learn to save energy over time if you're doing the same thing day in, day out. So we know that with exercise and with training, your body finds ways to become more economical and to save energy. And that can be anything from muscle action becoming more efficient to tendons becoming more elastic and kind of giving you a better return for energy for everything you do. And it can be down to kind of your energy systems also becoming more efficient as well. And if you're doing a physical job and you're picking things up and you're running around and all this kind of stuff, your body is still doing that. It's still adapting to those workouts. I challenge any of you, if you do an active job, to think back to the first week or 2 that you did that job and how sore you were and how tired you were. And then compare it to now, if you've been doing that job for a couple of years or even, a couple of decades, and think about how much more used to that job you are. I'm not saying you don't get sore and tired, but how does it compare to that first couple of times you did it? You probably learn to delegate some jobs to other people, or you learn to avoid certain jobs that probably aren't sensible for you to take on your own, or you just find more efficient ways to do it. You find shorter ways to walk around the building that you work in, or quicker ways of doing certain tasks. And all those things, they actually take you from doing this really active job through your kind of physical adaptations, through those kind of clever little fixes that you work out for your job, to suddenly the point where you're not burning half as much energy doing the same job as you used to. And I know that sucks, because now that means you have to find some other way to burn that energy, not through your work. And chances are, if you have a very tiring job, you may not want to go straight to the gym after work and do another hour of gym work. That sucks. I know it does. But maybe you can do it at weekends, or maybe you can, find a sport or something like that that you enjoy a bit more, that you want to do regardless of how tired you are. Or maybe it's time to start looking at those dietary changes a little bit more if you really want to lose weight. So that's it. Those are 5 really common mistakes that people make when they're trying to lose weight. I would love it if the fitness industry didn't kind of harp on about weight loss as much as it does. I would love it if we didn't kind of prey on people's insecurities about their bodies. And I wish we could kind of work towards more of a focus around health and strength and community and all those kind of other great things you get from the gym. But at the same time, I recognize that a lot of people do want to lose weight. And I want to make sure you do that in the healthiest way you can. I want to make sure you do it effectively. And, one of the themes of this video has been that a lot of these kind of tough love, be hard on yourself kind of approaches, not only are they mean and horrible and not really things that you should want to fill your life with, but also they're not actually that productive. And a lot of the people that are really hard on themselves with weight loss are the people that still constantly struggle. And the cycle repeats because you struggle, you're harder on yourself. So you struggle more. So you're even harder on yourself. So on the one hand, I want to promote all these other benefits of strength training and gym training. And on the other hand, I want to make sure that when you are engaging in weight loss practices, you do it the right way, where you don't end up hating the gym and hating yourself. So hopefully some of that video has resonated with you. Hopefully some of that has been helpful. Please let me know any questions you have in the comments down below. And like and subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on Instagram, read the blog, all that kind of stuff. I'll put all the links down below. Just let me know what you want to learn more about as well. I am here to help, and I want to make videos that interest you. So thanks for watching, and I will see you again for the next video.